What's up, guys? I thought you should have the need to understand something. Something about World War III. Something that I realized a few years back when the war actually started. And something that the Holy Spirit revealed to me is that World War III is an invisible war. It's a silent war with invisible weaponry. Not only is it an invisible war, but that invisible warfare employs psychological warfare. Part of it is psychological, which is spiritual as well, because the psychological side affects your belief systems. And the physical side of the invisible war is all the electromagnetic spectrum frequencies that they are continually bombarding us with that have the potential to destroy our bodies, our physical bodies. They're waging war mentally, psychologically, physically, spiritually. World War III is a spiritual, invisible war. And it's just interesting to me how this whole pandemic, when it started, Trump declares war on an invisible enemy, this so-called virus. And if you realize and understand that these are lies coming out of the mainstream, even though they are on some level telling the truth, they're also lying. They're mixing truth with lies to deceive the masses. And it is an invisible enemy, but it's not a virus. The invisible enemy is the propaganda that's being foisted on the news, every channel, 24/7, and on social media and all the platforms that we indulge into on a daily basis. And they can read exactly what's happening through all the feedback of those networks. In real time, they can see how people react to the news that's being put out, to these lies that are being foisted. And they adjust their moves based on how we react. But I just wanted to enlighten you from a technical standpoint that they are waging war on us through our own cellular phone technologies, this RF microwave system with the new phased array antennas. It's very important to understand this is not a normal single antenna that transmits a single frequency. This is a multitude of antennas. All those little funky looking square things are antennas, and it's a multiple frequency as what is described in these images, and it's able to provide a three-dimensional frequency, one which has the ability to manipulate matter on a molecular level. And when it interacts with our bodies, it has strong effects, a lot stronger than just a single antenna emitting a single frequency like a radio would. This is a multi-phase frequency which produces angular wavefronts, which causes bipolar molecules to rotate and spin on their axis at a much greater degree, to actually spin on their axis. A single frequency will just make it vibrate back and forth, and that's good for heating up water. But when you introduce multi-wave angular wavefronts, now then you can manipulate other more weaker bipolar molecules than water, like air. And you can restrict the oxygen flow. You can affect the absorption spectrum of the oxygen molecule into the bloodstream greatly with a device like this. Not only that, but this 5G has the ability to produce upper and lower sideband frequencies which would remain completely undetected. Completely undetected. There's no way to detect them unless you have a super expensive spectrum analyzer, which only like universities and stuff have. Super expensive scientific laboratories to detect upper and lower sidebands. And these upper and lower sidebands can produce a harmonic, sympathetic resonance with our brain waves and can induce 5 different mood states, as according to the Department of Defense back from the 80s when they were working on, the 60s when they were first working on this technology and testing it and doing all their experiments. We're in the 2020s, guys. That's a long time to develop and perfect this technology. We have nanotechnology, nanocircuits. We're way past the microchip. We're into nanochips. That's why Bill and Melinda Gates are coming out saying, yeah, injecting people with microchips. Oh, it's so hilarious. The technology doesn't even exist. Which it does, but the technology doesn't exist in small enough form to be injected with an ordinary needle in a typical style vaccine. Nanochips, however, on the other hand, does, or nanocircuitry, self-assembling nanocircuitry, which assembles with instructions from electromagnetic RF code or radiation, which is why Inovio utilizes an electronic device to activate the vaccine, to activate the DNA, so that it can penetrate the body's cells. Because what it's actually doing is that frequency is actually cutting the RNA strand of your own DNA, and it's splicing in, it's allowing room and sucking in the modified RNA, which is in the vaccine, which is now in your body. It allows it to merge with the DNA in the third strand of DNA called RNA, the programming part of the DNA, the programming strand. They've learned that programming strand can be cut with electromagnetic frequencies and spliced when introduced with new RNA or new programming. And that's exactly what the vaccines are designed to do, these new vaccines. We're not dealing with an old vaccine here. We're dealing with something that's brand new, never been tested on the public market. And they know exactly what this is going to do. You'll be able to update this vaccine or update your DNA through your smartphone, through a special app, through Bluetooth. You'll be able to, basically, they'll be able to hit your DNA with another frequency and alter it to update your vaccine as the quote-unquote strain of the virus continues to mutate over time. And so that's just what they say. So the technology exists where they can just constantly, repeatedly update your DNA until you finally become something that you were never created to be in the first place. They've already genetically modified all the plants and most of the animals, I would say, at least the ones we eat at this point, and they're after us now. They're after people. They want to genetically modify people because they can be patented and they can have a price tag put on them, and they can become property. And they can do it by hoodwinking, swindling everyone into it. They're trying to swindle everyone into it with not only their propaganda, but now then with their bribes. They're trying to bribe people, give them incentive, $1,000 to take the vaccine, to get the 70% up to 100%. Because I can tell by all the people wearing masks that about 70% will take the vaccine. And they know that 30% won't, but if they are incentivized, that'll get them numbers up there. That'll get them numbers up there to where they want it. 95, 99% of the population to take it. That way, their job of rounding up the remainder is so much easier. So much easier. Those who resist will be the enemy. Anyways, just wanted to rant about this for a minute. I know y'all don't probably understand any of this technology, but I'm saying from a technological standpoint, we have invisible weapons in this invisible war against an invisible enemy. We are the enemy in their eyes. But in your eyes and my eyes, they are the enemy, the ones foisting this, because they are. In truth and in everything, in all reality and truth, they are the enemies. And their weapons far supersede guns. They have laser weapons. They just announced laser weapons. Don't believe me? Watch. Let's just see. Northrop Grumman will assist the Navy in testing a 150 kilowatt, that's 150,000 watt class laser weapon system demonstrator aboard the service's self-defense test ship, the former USS Paul, blah, blah, blah. So it's also known as the Solid-State Laser Technology Maturation Laser Weapon System Demonstrator. The LWSD is likely the most powerful and destructive laser to go to sea. The LWSD was developed by the Office of Naval Research in Northrop Grumman and fitted to the amphibious transport dock USS Portland. Look at this thing. The LWSD has an output of 150 kilowatts, making it up to 5 times more powerful than other Navy lasers. LWSD's operational employment on a Pacific Fleet ship is the first system level implementation of a high-energy class solid-state laser. The laser system was developed by Grumman with full system and ship integration and testing led by NSWC Dahlgren and Port Hueneme. Look at that thing. The hell? Russian. It's a high-powered laser right there. That's what a high-powered laser weapon looks like. I can tag you from 150 miles away. Shit, even further. Goodness gracious me. Anyways, guys, this technology exists and it's being implemented everywhere. So this is just some more stuff on the laser tech that we've got. I mean, this is already in use. Already in use. These are real pictures of real equipment. Some of them, you know, some of them's been doctored up, of course, but you get the idea. World War III is an invisible war. These lasers, by the way, the reason they're all painted in is because they're infrared. Infrared is the highest power laser that you can use, and the reason that's why they use infrared lasers. And infrared lasers are not in the visible spectrum. They're just on the other side of the visible spectrum, which is why when they're super dense and when it's dark, you can sort of see them barely. But in the daytime, they're invisible. And for the most part, at nighttime, they're invisible. And that's why they use them, because they're invisible. They're invisible to detect, just like the microwaves. The microwave defense systems that they have, they're invisible. This is an invisible war. Trump declared war against the virus, which is potentially in every man, woman, and child on the face of the earth, let alone the country. So what he was really saying is he's coming for us. That's why the military has been deployed all around the country, setting up all around the country. FEMA camps have been activated. FEMA's been activated. The invisible war against this country and the world is about to be visualized. See, these are the microwave dishes that they have on the Humvees. Crowd suppression, microwaves, and laser systems. It's pretty incredible the level of technology that the military has. Trump knows this. Trump is 100% fully aware of all this. He's commander-in-chief, if that's what you want to call it. Anyways, see that? Pain without injury. Look at that. Pain without injury. The active denial system deters attackers by sending a non-lethal millimeter wave, just like the 5G, of electromagnetic energy causing a burning sensation. Wave penetrates the skin to 1/64th of an inch, causing a feeling similar to being on fire. Sorry, but those microwaves penetrate 100%. 95 gigahertz. It can cook you up to 130 degrees in 2 seconds. How the heat ray gun works. Yeah, a heat ray gun. A ray gun. Like in Star Trek or Star Wars, ray guns. They're talking about ray guns. Look at the depiction. It's a ray gun. It shoots an invisible beam. You can watch the demonstration videos that they have online. It's an invisible beam. It's for crowd suppression. They show it beaming at a whole crowd, and all these people just go running, take off running. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. This is the kind of stuff we're going to see on the streets in 2021. When the war is waging at its max, this will be everyday life.